Hello, and welcome to the Write Your Path podcast. My name is Lolly Spindler. I'm a writer, editor, book doula, and writing coach. I really believe in the power of the written word to heal, to help us tell our stories, and to even build businesses. So that is what I like to focus on in my work with others. On today's episode, I want to talk about how having a body is a privilege, so please stop hating yours. Since I do like to focus on business, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and the general being of a badass lady in this field, I do like to talk about some female-centered subjects, but this can apply really to anyone, but especially as women in this patriarchal society in which we live, this is very much an issue. And it's something I've obviously had thrown in my face my whole life. And I've just found some new ways to kind of see the act of having a body that I wanted to share today. So, just to state the obvious, we spend so much of our mental and emotional time and energy hating our bodies, especially as women. I've personally noticed that, especially for the older generation of women before us that are around my mother's age, hating their bodies is really the norm. Let me give you an example of when this came up for me recently. This summer, we had a family reunion. And I hadn't seen a lot of these family members for over a decade, maybe 2 decades. I honestly can't remember. I was talking about my niece and how she has these beautiful, thick thighs, just like my sister and I had growing up, that we got from my father, who was a football and a rugby player. And my aunt heard me say this, and she was like, wow, like, that must have been so hard for you. And I was like, huh? I was like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm proud of these thighs. Like, me and my sister always call them our American thighs. Shout out to AC/DC. And I was like, why would I not like them? Like, that's so silly. Like, I love my body. Like, these thighs have carried me through over a decade of playing soccer, of being an athlete my entire life, always being very active, being able to carry heavy loads, right? It reminded me, actually, when she said this, there's a Vagina monologue by Eve Ensler. I couldn't find it. I was looking for it in research for this episode. I couldn't find it. But so basically Eve Ensler started the Vagina Monologues, I think it was back in the 80s or the 90s. And she would go to different countries and hear different women's stories and then try to create a monologue that was kind of thematically encapsulated what she heard from those women. And she had gone to this small tribe in Africa and had talked about how, like, women in the Western world hate their bodies, and they thought that was absurd. Like, why would I hate my body? Like, my legs are able to carry me for miles. My hips have birthed my children. My arms hold my lovers, right? And so it's just this different way of thinking about what our bodies actually do for us that makes us appreciate our bodies rather than hate them. So when my aunt said that to me, that was like my knee-jerk reaction, like, no. Like, I'm not saying this to say it was hard. I'm saying this because I am grateful for these strong ass, thick ass thighs that my father passed down to me, and that now, like, my sister has passed down to her daughter. They have served their purpose and will continue to serve their purpose. So if anything, I'm grateful for them. I love them. I wouldn't hate them. Like, what a silly thing. Like, having a body is amazing. Like, have you ever had an orgasm? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, having a body is wonderful. And just not right. That's like the physical level. But on a spiritual level, once you realize that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? We are souls that chose to come to earth to have a human experience. And once you realize this, you start to think, oh, well, one of the reasons why is because having a body is so much fucking fun. So I'm going to tell you 3 different little woo-woo stories that relate to this. So number one is I was recently, this is the most recent story. We're going to start in chronological order today. I was recently in a temazcal at my friend Chelsea's retreat. A temazcal, for those who don't know, is I call it I call it a human pizza oven. It's like an ancient sauna that the indigenous peoples of Mexico would use. That is like a sweat lodge, an indigenous sweat lodge, and so it's a very beautiful ceremony full of different rituals that change depending on the shaman, but sometimes it's singing, sometimes it's like screaming to release, sometimes it's more meditative, and you go through 4 different doors with the 4 different elements. So that's like the basics of a temazcal. Anyway, so we were in this temazcal in the sweat lodge at this retreat, and going through that, it's like very physical, right? You're like sweating a shit ton, you're releasing all this stuff, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. And I realized, I was like, wow, like I love having a body. Like that's one of the reasons I decided to come back to this plane, to this earth, was because I missed having a body, and I love having a body and all that having a body entails. Eating, breathing, feeling, fucking, hearing, moving, like think of all of the amazing senses that we get to indulge just by the fact that we have a body. So that was like one of the biggest takeaways I had in this temazcal, was like, oh yeah, this is one of the big reasons why you came back. And also then I was just like, you know what? I want to keep going on this crazy sensational experience. So after the temazcal, I went and jumped in the freezing cold pond. But anyways, it was really beautiful. And 2 other stories I want to tell related to this is my partner Miguel was doing bufo or sapo. It's basically the poison of a frog. And it takes you into kind of a psychedelic state. It's also with a shaman. It's very ritualized and ceremonial. And during one of these sessions, he was having these past life experiences where like his former consciousnesses would come to him. And one of them literally just asked if he could use Miguel's body to touch the grass, because he just missed having a body and he missed feeling the physical sensation of the earth. How beautiful is that? I was just like blown away when he said that. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, And then the last woo-woo story I will tell you today. A couple years ago, I want to say 1 or 2, I went to the Museo de Arte Moderno, the Museum of Modern Art here in Mexico City, and I was standing in front of a painting by Lilia Carrillo. If you don't know who Lilia Carrillo is, she's a Mexican painter, and she was part of the Generación de la Ruptura, or the Breakthrough Generation. And the Breakthrough Generation basically broke with the more traditional Mexican school of painting of the early 20th century. So Lilia Carrillo was born in 1930. And she died relatively young at 43 years old in 1974. So I had never been introduced to her work before this exhibit. It was actually an exhibit of another artist, but they had included some other works that were complementary. And so I literally just stood in front of this painting without any background, like not knowing really anything about this woman. And all of a sudden I could feel her. She was there with me, and she really just wanted to see her painting through my eyes. That's all. She missed experiencing her work on an earthly, like terrenal level, and she just wanted to see him through human eyes again. And it was really beautiful. And I just stood there with her and let her see the painting through my eyes again. And it was very emotional and beautiful. And I just got to hold space for source, for the spirit. And then after a while, I was like, okay, Lilia, like, I gotta go now. And then, funnily enough, uh, this person I had never heard of before, about a week later, I was scrolling on Instagram, and another artist I followed was literally hosting a retrospective of her work in another gallery. And I was like, oh, okay, Lily, I hear you. I need to go learn more about you and your work. So those are some of like the woo woo stories I have for you that really point to the fact that having a body is such a privilege. And when you realize what a privilege it is, and how, being souls having a human experience, we could end up missing having this body at some point, you really start to realize how precious having a body is. And then you start to think how absurd it is to give a shit about what other people think about it. Like, you're not here to make anyone else happy with your body. You are here to use your body as your vessel, to allow you to experience all the beautiful sensations that having a body entails: hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting, seeing. And this is why I love my body. Whether I gain or lose 10 pounds, it doesn't matter. All that matters is this body is able to continue to provide all of the beautiful sensations that being alive allows for. So today, I just invite you to kind of reflect on this and to notice how you're engaging your different senses throughout the day. At any given moment in your day, just pause and be like, what do I smell? What do I hear? What do I feel? What do I see? Right? I want you to just start engaging the senses to really root into the body and become aware. And just realize, wow, what a privilege it is that I get to experience this beautiful world with this vessel that allows me to get so much joy and pleasure out of it. It's really a fucking miracle. And then it really helps you also put into perspective, like, let's stop wasting all of this mental and emotional energy caring about not having the perfect body, because guess what? It doesn't exist. It's literally a temporary vessel that we're inhabiting on our soul journey. So I just really invite you today to do that. And for right now, we're going to do a quick body scan before I close this episode up. So if you are not driving, and you can, please find a place to sit and close your eyes. And we're going to start in a comfortable seat. Just become aware. Where are you seated? How do you feel right now? The temperature in your body. Bring the attention to your breath. Are you breathing slow, fast? Are your inhales and exhales deep? Are they short? Just become aware. No judgment. Just bringing awareness to the physical body. I think so many times today we marry awareness and judgment, and I really want to work to decouple that. So become aware, but don't pass judgment. And once you become more aware of the physical space that you're in, of the physical body that you're in, of the breath, I want you to bring all of your attention to your toes. And I want you to think of your toes being covered by this beautiful, glowing white light. And it's kind of like a glaze that we're going to start pulling up the body. This beautiful, shimmering, glowing white glaze will now pass from our toes up past the tops and bottoms of the feet, up to the ankles, up to the shins and the calves. If it helps, you can breathe in as you pull this energy up, as you pull this light up your body, moving up to the kneecaps, covering the back of the knees, the hamstrings, covering the thighs, slowly working up, really imagining every inch of your skin being covered by this beautiful energy. Pulling that light up into your hips, over your genitals, your butt cheeks, covering the whole pelvis. And once it's covered the whole pelvis, deep inhale, bringing that energy up to the navel, up past the ribs, the stomach, the lower and mid back. Breathing it up into the chest, covering the upper back, and then pausing there to bring it to the hands. And we're going to cover every single finger, the wrists, the forearms, the elbows, moving up to the biceps, the triceps, up to the shoulders, into the armpits, then wrapping that energy around to meet that glaze, that light that's already on your back and your chest, and that's where they'll meet. And then from there, we'll keep pulling all of that energy, deep inhale, up to the neck, covering the throat and the last vertebrae, up past our chin, our mouth, our nose, our ears, our eyes, eyebrows, covering the forehead, and at last covering the crown of the head. Now that we're so in our bodies, now that we are protected by this glowing glaze of white light, I want you to just sit and notice how you feel in this moment. How does the body feel? How does the mind feel? How does the heart feel? How does the spirit feel? And just sit in this beautiful white glaze of light for a few more minutes. Inhaling and exhaling deeply. And when you're ready, you're going to keep the glaze. You're going to keep this glaze and this light and this energy with you. But we're just going to bring sensation back to all parts of the body this time. So staying in this beautiful light, I want you to just start crinkling your nose. Maybe purse the lips, move the jaw, wiggle the ears. Move the head left to right, maybe do some circles, bringing blood into that area. Rotate the shoulders as we move downwards. Maybe twist lightly in your chair left to right to move the spine, bend the elbows, rotate the wrists, touch every fingertip with your thumb. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the thighs together. Maybe kick out your legs to get those knees into action. Going down, rolling the ankles one way, the other way, and then just flexing the feet a couple times. Now I just want you to notice how you feel. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly start to open the eyes. And I want you to go throughout your day like this, knowing that you're protected by this beautiful white light and knowing that this body is on loan. It's something we should be grateful for every day. And whenever any creeping insecurity tries to take hold, be like, you know what? No. Because I am a spirit, I am a soul having a human experience. One of the best parts of that is having a fucking body, and I'm not gonna let any negativity touch that, at least not today. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have the most beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Ciao.